Guys, Noelle is back. For some people, she never left, I guess. Some poor bastards. But with Fontaine, she got a lot better, she got new teams, so we're going to see just how much she improved and how you should build her. First of all, what is it that makes Noelle good now compared to the past? It's simple, she can be an on-field healer for the whole team, and that synergizes well with Furina. It's kind of ironic that the one thing people believed to be useless for Noelle in the past is the very thing that makes her good now, but here we are, I guess. So there will be two parts to this video, one where I talk about how good Noelle is now as a driver for very strong sub DPS, and the other where I talk about how good she is in her mono geo team with Furina now. So again, Noelle is a team-wide healer, and this creates a situation where she can be used with Furina extremely well. But she's not a flawless healer, she has very specific restrictions and you need to understand them in order to play her properly on these new teams. The cause of her imperfection is her source of healing, which is her elemental skill. This skill will protect the active character with a shield, and while Noelle is on field and protected by this shield and also attacks opponents with normal or charge attacks, she will heal all characters. There are two issues with this. The first is that the shield can break, and the second is that it has a limited duration compared to the cooldown. Specifically, it will only last for 12 seconds and it has a cooldown of 24 seconds, although the latter can be lowered through her passive by a couple seconds in a rotation. But I want to focus on the duration here, the 12 seconds long duration. Noelle is a character that can be played quite freely. She has an elemental burst that gives her Geo infusion, but she can be swapped out without losing it. That's the main advantage Noelle has over a character like Itto, for example. She can be used very freely, and this makes her role on teams much more flexible. However, that comes at the cost of Noelle doing less on field, and in this specific scenario, Noelle healing less. The more you will swap around with Noelle on your teams, the less she will heal, and the worse it will be for Furina. So to visualize this better, during her elemental skill duration, if you use normal attacks with Noelle, you will be able to activate around 15 healing ticks at most. At standard investment level, assuming you're using an artifact set like Petra and a weapon like Favonius, totally random choices here, with all those hits you're going to heal the whole team by around 26,000, also accounting for the healing bonus you get from Furina's elemental burst. Generally, that's more than enough to cover the HP loss you'll get from Furina's elemental skill throughout a 21 seconds long duration, for example. However, if you swap out from Noelle to Kazuha, for example, to re-enable Resistance Shred for Hydro, you're going to lose some hits from Noelle on field, and as such healing. Generally, even just 10 hits from Noelle would be enough for her to heal the whole team back, but considering she'll be paired with characters such as Furina or Yalan that have a lot of total HP, you should be extra careful. What I mean is just that you should pay attention not to go HP negative in a rotation, because the more you do that, the more issues you'll have in the long run. But anyway, let's take a closer look to this team I've shown you on graph, the double Hydro core with Furina and Yalan and then Kazuha. The first thing you might have thought looking at this structure is energy issues. In fact, Noelle is a character that doesn't generate particles through her elemental skill, and as such, playing her as solo Geo can look intimidating. But luckily, Zajev's favorite weapon comes to aid, Favonius. You're using Noelle on a team where her own damage isn't the biggest of deals, so using Favonius is fine. Not only it's great for her, but also for the other characters on the team, because as an on-field unit, Noelle will be able to proc the Favonius effect multiple times a rotation, about 3. On the double Hydro team, this means you'll be able to use Yalan and Furina at very low energy requirements, which at free-to-play investment isn't very important because some of their best options all have energy recharge stats, but at high investment, so if you have their signature, it makes a huge difference. Regarding her best artifact set on this specific team, it is the Petra set. This is pretty easy to explain actually. Her damage contribution to the team isn't even near to the combined contribution of Yalan and Furina, so increasing their damage is better than increasing Noelle's damage, which you could do with the Husk set or the Marashusi set since you're using Furina, but using Petra is just better for the team. As a result, you get a team that deals a lot of single target damage and performs nicely even in AoE thanks to Kazuha. Predictably, by giving Furina and Yalan their signature weapons, the team damage skyrockets because They're just the main contributors here, and that's only natural. It's like giving a signature to a hyper carry, like Wanderer. And also, again, you have the kind of energy production here that allows you to remove the energy recharge options from them and be fine. Alternatives I've looked at for this team are the double Geo, double Hydro core with Albedo, Noelle, Furina and Yanan, and the Taser with Kazuha. The benefit of double Geo is that it makes your team more durable thanks to the Geo resonance, and technically Albedo batteries Noelle well, but him by himself here is not really changing things that much. You're still going to need Favonius on her, and her damage won't be that high. So realistically, you're just replacing Kazuha with a character that allows for smaller team damage and smaller AoE. For Taser, I tried to look at something such as Noelle, Furina, Kazuha, and Yae or Fischl. And the benefit here is that in AoE you gain the Electro Charge procs from Kazuha, which deal a lot of damage, but in single target the difference is huge. Yanan is dealing a lot of damage on this team, really a lot, and she's helping Furina's energy requirements as well as providing HP from the Hydro Resonance, so removing her is pretty drastic, especially if you're replacing her with a character such as Yae or Fischl, who don't fit all that well here. Also, adding an Electro character to the team makes it harder for you to use Petra on Noelle, because Crystallizes will prioritize Electro, and this means no Hydro damage bonus for Furina. Partially, this is also a problem for the mono team, since there are situations in the Abyss where you're facing characters such as the Pyromage or in general characters that have elemental shields, and in those situations the consistency of the set will get shakier in terms of buffing the right characters. Honestly, the Petra artifact set is really the thing that makes Noelle unique in this context, because there are others that can be used in the role like Kokomi Driver or even Dori Driver, Barbara Driver, but Noelle is the one who can use Petra, and that makes her unique. If you remove that from her, there is nothing that stands out. But compared to the other drivers, there is also a different side of Noelle that can be explored better with Furina, which is the one where Noelle is actually doing damage and Furina has the main function of a sub DPS buffer for her. This isn't really a big change for Noelle, because after all it's just replacing Yanan with Furina on the Mono Geo team, with Albedo, Goro, and of course Noelle. For starters, energy recharge is much more of a concern for Noelle here, since she has to deal damage and she can't use Favonius, because otherwise what's the point of this team? So you need to battery her accordingly. There are more issues on this variant compared to the Yanan variant, because there you can use 2 elemental skills with Yanan per rotation and proc Favonius at multiple times to battery Noelle, while Furina can't exactly do that. So her only hope here is Goro, which isn't great because Goro is awful at generating particles, but that's all she has. Geo is not great at battering. So what you want to do here is to use Goro's elemental skill around the start of the rotation, and then in between some Noelle's attacks again to battery her directly. If you manage to directly feed these particles to Noelle both times, it'll decrease her energy requirements by a bit, but it'll increase Goro's requirements by a lot, so that's the trade-off. You have to keep that in mind. For the rest, Furina allows Noelle to use the Mana C set, which for the most part outmatches the Husk set by a bit, except if you're using Red Horn, since its passive specifically takes advantage of defense to deal extra damage. Damage-wise, the team isn't the most exciting, I guess. She is a 4-star, so you have to keep your expectations in check, and also she is not a super high damage dealer as a baseline. Like, yeah, Furina is amplifying her, but she's mostly amplifying a basis that is not very high, let's be honest. Also, Furina is very half-assed here, because she has to use Favonius to favor Noelle, and in general she doesn't really get much particle generation from the Geo characters on this team, so her damage takes a huge hit here. But yeah, it's definitely a possibility if you want to see your Noelle do more damage. Just don't expect much from it, I guess. Weapons wise, for this scenario, Furina didn't really change much. White Blind is the best free-to-play weapon, Serpent Spine is a nice medium option, and Red Horn is the best in slot. Also, this was the case even before Furina, but she reinforces this thing. With Redhorn, it is better to use charge attacks with Noelle. Furina reinforces this aspect because charge attacks extend the rotations for Noelle by a bit, which is a detriment if you're using a character like Yelan that ends her rotation by the second 20 or something, while Furina's elemental skill will keep attacking the more you extend the rotation, so it's not a huge loss, it's a gain. Also, since Noelle's charge attacks have higher hit frequency than the normal attacks, she will be healing more with them compared to other combos, which is nice for Furina. So overall, Noelle became a pretty nice character now. She was kind of forgotten before, but now she has a nice role in the meta where she can both drive Furina and Dylan while healing, and she can be an on-field carry that deals damage quite decently, I guess. And I'm done. See you next time.